Welcome to the breakdown, everybody. How are we doing today? I am your not so humble talking hairdo, Ben, and it is lovely to be back with you. Last week, the Travie Wavy and I did a little bit of something different that we don't normally do, and it was fun, and it was a good time, and I got a little sports in, which was perfect. But to start the day, I'd like to thank Sammy, my producer extraordinaire, at the Majestic Coffee Shop, live at the Neon Parrot Life Studios. We do have a new set. We have a new stage. I don't know how well it's coming in through the cameras for you guys yet, but it's still a work in progress here. And we're going to be doing a lot of neat things here at the Neon Parrot Life Studios in the future. Some of them being live music, and all kinds of maybe some theater, some different things that are going to make this a very functional space. And you guys can't see it, but it's just really amazing. It's a really cool building. I plug the building every time, not only because it's where we do our show, but it really is. It's cool. It's over 100 years old. Lots of history. There are businesses and offices upstairs. My lovely lady has one up there currently. And we will plug that business whenever it gets completely rolling on its feet. But yeah, man, I got me some Topo Chico here from the Majestic Coffee Shop next door. Just can't beat it. Twist of lime, my favorite kind. Anyways, goodness gracious, we have so much to talk about, so much to get to on today's program. We're in the playoffs now. We're in the playoffs, and college football is coming to a close. We've got Notre Dame versus the Ohio State Buckeyes for all the bananas or the potatoes or the tomatoes, whatever you want to look at it like. But, man, this is an interesting situation. A lot of things I think we were surprised by over the course of the college playoff. My buddy, my resident Aggie, Blake, mentioned that I think all of the top 4 teams lost or something. So like however they ranked all this stuff was kind of goofy. And Ohio State is an 8-point favorite. So that means that the odds makers think they're going to beat the crap out of Notre Dame, which I really hope that's not what happens, because everybody wants Notre Dame to win. Everyone. And unless you live in Ohio or went to the Ohio State University, everyone is rooting for the gold helmets. And I am too, which, as we know, can be very dangerous for the fighting Irish, man. So I'm gonna see if I can't get Blake on the phone here in a minute. He never knows when I'm gonna call him in and when I'm not. So that always kind of makes it interesting for the show's content. But man, we've got coaching, what I call the coaching carousel happening in the NFL. A bunch of dudes got fired. The Dallas coach, I don't think he got fired. I'm pretty sure Mike McCarthy was like, get me the hell out of this dumpster fire right now. I do not want this on my resume for my career. I mean, he's a potentially Hall of Fame level coach. He's won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. And then he's like, sitting, eating burgers, probably doing some deep sea fishing a couple years back, not having a job. And Jerry Jones calls him up. And, Jerry hires him because Jerry knows that he will do what he says. And just like everybody else, and just like every single time with the Dallas dumpster fire Cowboys, he hires a yes man as his coach, and the coach can't coach like that, and that's why you lose, and that's why you didn't even make the playoffs this year, and you got Dak Prescott, who is going to be 32. He's injury prone, and you owe him $230 million. Like, how and why and what? And Jerry Jones is 82. He makes about as much sense as Joe Biden does these days. I mean, what are we talking about with this owner? But this is nothing new in comparison to what the Cowboys do and how they roll. And this is how they roll. So we're going to get into some of this coaching talk with Big Frank in a moment. And what exactly could Jerry get Deion Sanders? Could he as this coach? Well, there's a lot of talk about Deion and what Deion will do, won't do, wants to do, but what's that going to do to your legacy? The Cowboys to me is not a job that, everybody says, oh, well, they're the Cowboys. You want to be a coach or the Cowboys. Well, Jerry Jones is just looking to be relevant. He's not looking to win. He hasn't cared about winning in 20 some odd years. So he wants relevance. So that's Deion Sanders and whomever he brings. And he won't be coaching his son because Shedeur Sanders is not going to the Cowboys. And Dak, whatever coach goes in there is stuck with Dak. And I've been kind of a Dak apologist in the past because I feel like he's saddled with a crappy organization, and now, he separated his quad or his hamstring from the bone, had to get a surgery for that. He's broken his leg. He's just constantly getting injured and recovering from injury, and then they just sign him to a new contract, and they owe $230 million. Or you could be like my Raiders, and we're still paying John Gruden millions of dollars a year because we've fired him, and then we're going to be paying Antonio Pierce millions of dollars because we fired him. But the only positive thing about that kind of thinking is the owner of the Raiders, Mark Davis, who's kind of a jackass. Where I think he's right, he's like, okay, this isn't working, so let's move on. Let's move forward. We'll pay whoever we got to pay that we fired, but let's move forward and get the next guy. That's not really working either, but I kind of like that versus just, just sticking with bad decisions. But so we're going to go all through the spectrum today. College, we don't have a lot to talk about with college football, but we will get into the national championship game that's taking place this weekend, or maybe it's Monday. Anyways, we're going to go through the NFL and what I think about some of these games that are coming up. We're just in the beginning of the playoffs. We had wild card weekend last weekend, and we can discuss some of that too. And then towards the end of the show, we're going to talk about college hoops. We're going to talk about our ACU Wildcats college hoops. They are actually on the gambling websites today. They've got a point spread on their game tonight against Grand Canyon University. So we're going to go over that. But first, the infamous, the super fan, Big Frank. He's actually, I know this, he's babysitting. He's babysitting grandkids right now. So this could be a little interesting, but hey, that'll just make this more fun, right? So let's see. And I promise, viewers, we are about to get a Skype situation to get Big Frank in under your. I'm not lying about that. We got a lot going on around here, and that's on the to-do list. So here we go. Let's see if we can get him on. Move my microphone here.
Hello.
Hey, Big Frank, it's Ben. What's up?
What's going on, Ben? How are you today?
Oh man, I'm doing great. Got a new set we're building around here. Things are moving and shaking,
Well, that's good. That's always good, right?
That's right. Well, I think today, and you're babysitting grandkids, huh?
Yeah, well, they're cooperating right now, so they're pretty good. So you know how that is. That can change. I'm babysitting Jenna. She got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and
Right.
they're preoccupied right now, so it's pretty good. So
There you go. Well, we'll just jump right into it then. Uh,
already.
any First of all, let's talk the coaching situation for the Bears. I haven't heard a lot of rumors as to what's going to happen there yet.
Well, the big change this week was, we requested to talk to McCarthy, but I don't know why, but you talk about him. I think he got kind of screwed. He said no, they're not going to give him permission because they were working on a contract. Then all of a sudden, I guess they couldn't agree on a contract, and so he's a free agent now.
Right.
So they actually sent away for a private jet, from what I'm reading, and they brought him in here yesterday.
Oh.
And supposedly it went very, very well. The only one that they've been able to do in person, they do a lot of this Zoom stuff now because if you're in the playoffs and stuff like that, you really can't, do any in person unless you're not affiliated with anybody that's in the playoffs. But that was the big thing, that he was in here yesterday, and apparently it went really well. So I think it's really between him and they really, I think, are trying to wait out this Ben Johnson thing from Detroit.
Yeah, I kind of like. I heard that they were also going to talk to Pete Carroll.
Yeah, they did last week. He's another one that I think, because he wasn't affiliated with anybody, he was able to come in person, and they met with him last week. He's not as hot as the McCarthy thing down here. They're either half and half. You either love it, because an interesting stat that they were putting out, if you compared him to Mike Tomlin for the last 18 years. Of course, Tomlin's just been with one team, but with McCarthy with the Packers and then the Cowboys, their records are almost identical.
Right.
With a difference of about a loss or two here and there. So if you're us looking for stability for someone to come in, I think it's a good hire, but they also don't want to pass up on the next, Sean McVay or, LaFleur with this Ben Johnson can be, because of what he's done with Detroit. So they're kind of a little bit in a conundrum here, because I didn't think they thought that there was going to be enough available really experienced coaches out there that aren't, way too old, but are younger in their approach and really like the way things are going. So that's kind of where we're at right now down here with the coaching search.
Nice.
So,
I like the idea of McCarthy going there because these last couple of years, I was just talking before I had you on that McCarthy probably wanted to get the hell out of town because your hands are tied when you're working for Jerry Jones,
Yeah, he's a difficult owner to work for, and apparently they couldn't get their numbers right on a contract extension.
Right.
And I think, like I said last week, as a Bears fan, I'd take 12-5, 12-5, 12-5 going to the playoffs. His rap is he doesn't win consistent enough in the playoffs, but playoffs, anything can happen on any given day if you don't have a decent roster. So, I take that in a heartbeat here. So
Absolutely.
I think it's a good choice. So they're still kind of holding. I still think that they really like to get this Ben Johnson, and unfortunately, you have to wait until they get knocked out of the playoffs for any more interviews, is how I understand it. So, they start back up this week, and if they continue to win and then get in the Super Bowl, you're not looking till like the middle of February before you can really want to talk and get serious with that guy.
Right.
So
yeah,
that's where we're at down or up over here with our coaching search. We're still kind of in limbo. They're talking to 1 million people, which is crazy. They've already interviewed. I was reading an article the other day. They've already interviewed 20 people.
Oh, wow.
And they got more that they want to interview. Yeah, some no names and some names of offensive coordinators. They really want to get this one right because they flubbed up so many of them.
Absolutely.
In the past.
Yeah, no kidding.
So,
and then my Raiders are still like, there's not much word on what's going there. I hear that. Go ahead.
I hear down here is Ben Johnson is really, the Raiders are hot after him.
Right.
To get him. So, the only thing I think the Bears have going against them is at least they got a quarterback that this guy thinks he can work with.
Yeah.
I think with the Raiders with no quarterback, and I'm not much on the draft this year. I don't know if there's many good quarterbacks coming out this year
Yeah.
as there was last year. So you're kind of stuck in that middle there. But yeah, that's what I'm hearing up here is, they really want to go after Ben Johnson. So
Nice. So to talk about little playoffs here, I'm going to tell
yeah,
you my favorite who I've been very early on in my show. I think even
uh-huh.
before I started having you on weekly, I would
Mhm.
talk about how I don't like to bet against Matt Stafford when he plays football. you know,
Yes.
and
Well, yeah. I mean, he's
and I kind of love him because he's 36 years old. His birthday is he turns 37 on February the 7th. The Super Bowl is on the 9th.
the ninth,
What
right?
kind of a cool story would that be if the Rams beat the Eagles, which I think they can do, because I think the Eagles
Yeah.
are kind of, I don't know, I think they're about to kind of fizzle out potentially.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that a little bit. I disagree with you on the Eagles. I don't think they're not maybe really as strong with the quarterback, but here's what I think about the Eagles. They've got a run game. And
Right.
when they do that run game, they can pound it and control the ball and keep it out of Stafford's hands and get him to those receivers. They ground it out. They kind of can control the clock. Jalen Hurts is good enough to get him, some points. You got AJ Brown. So that's why I think Philadelphia and Baltimore is tough for that reason because they all got good quarterbacks that can play good. But man, you look at, not to jump too far ahead here, but what the Steelers, we both thought that they were going to get waylaid, and they did. But it was because they were able to pound the ball with I'm getting a senior moment here. I'm forgetting his name that the Baltimore guy
Derrick
has.
Henry. Derrick
Derrick
Henry.
Henry, excuse me. Thank you. They just killed it. And then the same thing with Barkley at Philadelphia. So that's a thing I think really going into the playoffs. If you can have a run game that can control the ball and keep the other offenses off the field, you get to be pretty good with that. So I think Philadelphia beats them this week because they're at home and because of that fact that they have a running back that could really just pound you if they get it going.
Yeah, and the Rams are kind of on a shorter week, I think, too. And
Yeah.
I guess I just would love that story because I always go for the old guy. It's just something that I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And he knows what he's doing. He's experienced in it. And if you give him time, he can pick you apart with their weapons. And Nakua and Cooper Cup and their tight end. I mean, he can get him the ball. He knows what he's doing. I just think that when you go up against a team like Philly, their defense is also very, very tough.
yeah,
And they don't give up much. I like Vic Fangio. He was here for a few years as a D coordinator when we had our string of horrible head coaches,
yeah.
and they always kept us in games because of his coordinating. I just like the way he calls a defense, and he's shining this year over there. Coupled that with Barkley coming on over, I think Philadelphia is a tough loss, especially if they're playing at home.
Yeah.
It's really tough to beat them. So at home, I like Philadelphia this weekend.
Yeah, I think you got that one. And man, Saquon Barkley, what a story!
Oh,
What a cool story!
unbelievable.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I am kind of I don't know how I forgot that he was their running back for a moment, but yeah, I think there's some destiny there with him. I think this has been, kind of
Yeah.
one of those seasons, and I think that's really incredible. Now, here's the game that all these other point spreads, not that really matters, but it does tell me something. But like a lot of these, like Texans Chiefs are an 8-point favorite. Lions are a 9-point favorite over the Washington, and Eagles are a 6 over the Rams. But the Baltimore Ravens at the Buffalo Bills is the only game this weekend that's even, just even right there. And that,
Yeah, that's
what-
going to be the game of the week right there.
and like all the implications that this has on both of those quarterbacks and the coaches and everybody. Like, what do you think your Big Frank pick of the week. I want to know what you think. Ravens Bills. What happens?
Yeah, that's another tough one. Again, they got Derrick Henry, so they've got him on the running back. But you got Josh Allen and the Bills, and they're playing in Buffalo. But that's not really going to matter because Baltimore plays outside too,
Right.
and they play bad weather. That's a tough game to pick. I want to pick Buffalo, but I think if again it goes back to when I was talking about the Philly. I think if they get Derrick Henry rolling,
Yeah.
and you can't stop that guy with Lamar Jackson. The only other thing is Lamar. The thing about his big knock was he disappears in the important playoff games.
Right.
The first round, Steelers. I think we all picked them. They
Yeah.
were going to win. Now you're going up against a really tough team, and it's can he get over that mental hump of what, I can never win the big game. I'm missing receivers. I'm overthrowing. But the difference this year is if that's not clicking, they can really run with
Yeah,
Henry,
they've got that other weapon. It's funny. The Steelers game. My son is a huge Steelers fan.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Man, Lamar Jackson looks like some kid's playing Madden with him right now."
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I don't think he can do that against the Bills defense. You know what I mean?
And I think the reason why he's able to do that is because of the Derrick Henry thing there. They run, if you watch them, when I was watching them, it was like watching a college game because it's all read options.
Yeah.
If he's going to give the ball to Henry, he'll hold on to it. And if he sees, like, it will look like TJ Watt was crashing down and hitting, Henry, then he pulls the ball back and then he runs it. Or if they stick with, Jackson, and then they let Henry take the ball and go. I felt like I was watching a college football game last week. And then when he had to throw, he was able to open it up because you got everybody playing up against the run. And that's why they're so dangerous.
Yeah.
I feel is because of that. So,
man, that's going to be such a cool game to watch.
Yeah, I'd like to see Buffalo because I always want to see somebody new
get
in there.
Yeah.
But I think if they're going, I think Baltimore wins that game if they play good and they can get the running game going. But I wouldn't be surprised if Buffalo pulled it off. I think it's going to be a close game.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be a blowout, but it's going to be close. So.
Well, good deal. Well, Big Frank, thanks for joining us again.
I appreciate it. Yes, this is going pretty good. They're behaving pretty good, but now they're starting to get a little bit mobile. So
that's good.
It's about a good time. So, hey, we're keeping track of our picks. How were we on our picks last week? I think we only missed. We agreed on a lot. I think I only missed the. I had the Chargers winning, I think.
Yeah,
you
know what?
They lost, but all the other ones, I think we were right.
Yeah, we got all those other ones, but man, that Chargers game, wow, what a that was a meltdown right there.
Yeah. Hey, before you go, what's your idea on the national championship game?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
College?
Okay, that's right. I wanted to. So we got Notre Dame at Ohio State. I think me and the entire country, except for those that live in Ohio, want to see Notre Dame win this game. That's kind of what I feel. Because the Buckeyes, they're the Buckeyes. They've won 100 championships. And the last time Notre Dame was in the championship was in 2012-13 when A.J. McCarron torched them for like 48-0.
Yep.
Anyways, so they're an 8-point dog. Notre Dame. And what do you think, man? I
think Ohio State is really, really tough. I think they win. But Chicago area here is huge Notre Dame alumni.
Okay, cool.
South Bend's only about an hour and a half, 2 hours from here.
Oh,
so you got a lot of alumni and a lot of people that love Notre Dame, and they want to see them win so bad. I think their defense is good, but I just think if Ohio State plays their game, I think Ohio State beats them.
Yeah, I think you're right about that because it would have to take something not clicking with Ohio State to lose this game,
Correct. So,
but so I guess I'm gonna pick Notre Dame for the upset. How about that?
There you go.
There's my pick. I'll be happy to be wrong or right about that one. So yeah. All right, Big Frank.
Buddy.
You have a great day.
We'll talk to you next week then.
All right, we'll see you, buddy. Oh, Big Frank. I feel like all is right in the world now that I had Big Frank on. Because, I mean, the last couple of weeks, ever since Christmas, we've been trying to get back in the groove around here. And that definitely does it. I got a phone call from my daughter about lunch. So let me see if I can just send her a text real quick. There's a new. Sammy, can we plug eateries that we like in town? Can we do that? I think so.
I suppose.
Okay. Sammy gives me the okay. So I've been checking out this new spot. It's not new. It's been here for a while, but it's kind of like literally a hole in the wall. And it's called Hawaii Poke Bowl. You guys heard of that? So it is off South 14th, over by the old Crunch Fitness, and it's in that shopping center right behind it. It's just this little building, and that is some of the best. Like, you do spicy tuna, whatever, man, and they do ramen there too if that's what you're into. But you can go do a poke bowl, $15, and you can put as much stuff as you want to on there. Fresh, amazing, lovely staff. Hawaii Poke Bowl. Go check it out, folks, Abilenians. But I digress. So that was Big Frank. I think we had some good takes, or he had some great takes. I do think Mike McCarthy would be the right, solid coach that you'd love to see in Chicago, and I think he's probably happy to be out of Dallas. Yeah. I picked Notre Dame to win, but Big Frank's right on that one. I think Ohio State, that might get ugly, actually. That might be bad. Okay, so I'm going to cover a little bit of football here. Also, with the NFL, Texans at Chiefs. Kansas City is an 8-point favorite. I don't understand how these lines are so lopsided on some of these games. I think everybody thinks the Chiefs win because they, like we've said before, it just feels like they're asleep, and just winning asleep. Like, they get down by a couple of points and they're like, oh man, we better wake up and win this game. And then Taylor Swift's voodoo comes into play and they win. Well, our buddy Meech that is a regular here on the show is a big Texans fan. And so I'm pulling for the Texans. I'm tired of seeing the Chiefs win all the time. It's getting very New England Patriot-esque in the 2000s. And I would love to see a Texans upset because their last game was amazing. And C.J. Stroud played lights out. And that was just an overall great football game to watch. So let's hope for the Texans Chiefs. I definitely think the Texans can keep it close. And will they? I guess we'll find out. The Washington Commandos at the Detroit Lions. I love the Washington story this year with their young quarterback. Detroit's a 9-point favorite. I don't know if I like that line because I think the Commandos could keep it close. But I think Detroit will roll in that game and they will win. So that's my pick, Lions, going further into the playoffs, because that would be a huge upset. Like, that would just be the craziest upset that we've seen in a while if Washington were to beat Detroit at this point. Detroit does have a lot of injuries, though, folks, so let's keep that in mind. The Rams-Eagles game, the Big Frank kind of bursted my bubble on that one because the Eagles are just really good right now. And the Saquon Barkley story is got Destiny movie type stuff written all over it. But I love old guys that play quarterback. I just do. And Matthew Stafford, I just think the point spread, the Eagles are a 6-point favorite. I think that's garbage. I don't like it. I think that's rude. I think Matty Stafford, who we are at the breakdown here, are pulling for Matty Stafford to he's already won one with LA and Sean McVay. He could do it again. Now they're going on a short week. He's old. It's gonna be cold probably in Philly, and these are L.A. It's been a little warm in L.A. That was rude. I didn't mean it that way. But yeah. So the Rams, Eagles probably win. I'll be rooting for the Rams. Um, and the birthday thing's kind of cool. He turns 37 a couple of days before the Super Bowl. That'd be a story. Ravens, Bills. The implications that Big Frank and I did touch on is like Lamar Jackson always gets a lot of, I don't know if we call it hate, because it just kind of is what it is. It's kind of just the way it is. He tends to fall short and kind of fall apart in these these big games that need that a quarterback that is the quarterback, the man, gets a team by and basically makes up for shortcomings of a team that's tired and it's late in the season and everybody's hurt. All these guys are playing hurt, every last one of them. And I know you football guys, y'all know what I'm talking about, but to the casual viewer and listener of The Breakdown with your not so humble host, Ben, is when you get into this kind of a season, this is a collision sport, violent sport. These guys are all playing hurt. And so what you're seeing, and I hate the argument so much of, oh, well, they're making millions of dollars, so they don't care. They don't care about playing hard. Dude, they play hard because they're making millions of dollars. They have got, mama's got a house. They're paying brothers' credit card debt. They're, probably paying for a wedding somewhere here and there. Like these guys, most of these guys have come from very little, and now they are making a lot of money, but nothing's guaranteed in the NFL. It's not the NBA. The NBA, the stars run the league. It is a star-driven league. In the NFL, you have a bad year, get the hell out of here, next guy up. We got plenty, And so the idea that NFL players aren't playing as hard as they possibly can and hurt and getting toward all shots to get through the game, just like they did in the 70s. They are. You're wrong. There's not a debate there. And now with college football, the argument used to be, oh, these guys are playing for the love of the game, for the love of, well, they were playing for an education at that time. Now they don't go to class anymore. I don't even know if they give them degrees anymore in most of these places. And they're literally there for one season. They're transferring. I mean, college football is now semi-professional football. So, and it's kind of a mess. It's more interesting to, gamblers and guys like me to watch now. But because the South is not just dominating everything. You've got two teams from the North that are in the national championship, and Alabama may not sniff another natty for who knows how long, so that's kind of nice to see that, be different. But you got, Texas, I hate that white suit pant thing that Steve Sarkisian wears, the coach for Texas. What a douche. Like, seriously, the white pant thing, I'm seeing it all over college football. All these coaches look like they're headed to the disco with freaking whatever. What's his name? Saturday Night Fever. My mom loved that movie. John Travolta. Thank you, Sammy, producer Sam. John Travolta. That's what they look like, and it's fine. The weirdest things are coming back into fashion that I don't understand. But this is how it works in the world. It just continues to. Things stopped evolving like 30 years ago, and they just are repeating themselves. Everything from movies to fashion to freaking. I'm wearing a pair of Doc Martens right now. Okay? But they were made in China. Those were made in England, damn it. Now they're made in China. It says the original Doc Marten, Sheffield, England. Oh, you know what? You could be right. They could be made in China, Sam. But you know what's not made in China that I'm having shipped? It's going to be at my house between the hours of noon and 3 o'clock this afternoon is a. It is not a sex doll, Sammy. What is this? Producer Sam, he's got some. Oh, when I get to this. So one time I got a funny story. So, as many of you may know, some of you may not know, I am a martial arts instructor. I have a martial arts dojo studio called A Fair Advantage. And whenever I opened the dojo, I was ordering things that one would have in a dojo. And one of these things was a 120-pound jiu-jitsu dummy, okay? And so you're close. So I order this thing. The UPS guy pulls up to my studio, and he's like looking at me real weird. They basically just wrapped this thing in a tarp, so it's not in a box. It's 120 pounds, and he's like dragging, and the arms are just like this, you know. So he's dragging this thing, and I go, dude, it is not a sex doll. It is a jiu-jitsu dummy. I swear to God. And he just was like, yeah, sure, man. Okay. You know, anyways, that's a true story, and I think it's funny. So what will be delivered to me today? If you know anything about me also, you know I am a nerd for swords, knives, anything that pokes and cuts. I have ordered myself a Fairbairn Sykes British commando knife that was popularized in World War II, designed by Fairbairn and Sykes, these two complete badasses. They were old at the time, but they actually were policemen in China, in Shanghai. These guys were like contractors back before contracting was cool. And they got in all kinds of scraps, fights with these like Chinese syndicate triad gangsters and stuff back in the 30s, in the 1930s for you kids. And anyways, they developed this knife that basically became. It is in the logo of the patch for the SAS, which is the British Special Air Service, which are their like elite commandos. And this knife is still issued and still used. There was about 3 versions of it, and then they came out with the Applegate Fairbairn knife, which is another. It's the new FS fighter knife. But needless to say, I have ordered myself one of these that happens to be handmade in Sheffield, England, and should be at my door in mere moments. So there's your fun fact of the day about Ben. Ravens, Bills. Lamar Jackson has to win this game. I think, you know, the lovable loser, Josh Allen, he's like the best freaking quarterback. He's like a moose with football pads, I heard someone say. And he just trucks people, runs them over. He's a big dude, but he's a great quarterback. I don't know. I never liked the Ravens. And I think the fact that they have Derrick Henry is kind of a cheat code, and I don't like it. So I hope the Ravens lose, and I hope the Bills advance. And, you know, they want to give Lamar Jackson a freaking MVP every single year. He's had it twice. This could be his 3rd year. I don't think they've done the MVP votes yet. But, you know, and then there's, you know, the other thing that always happens. This game, you know, an ESPN will do it, but like it's going to be a thing about race, you know, which I don't think is fair. I don't think that for Lamar or for Josh, I think it should just be about the 2 quarterbacks. But that's like black quarterback versus white quarterback, and I just don't like that. I don't think that that's necessary. I think that we should be way past all of that, you know. But because I do think we have evolved in that way. Now, so good luck to whomever wins that game. And I love Lamar Jackson. He's an incredible quarterback. But I just don't like the Ravens because I hate the Ravens. So hopefully one of those 2 teams will win. I bet they will. Bet one will. Anyways, okay. Kind of getting close to closing up shop here. We are going to touch on some college hoops before I get out of here. But we always have a what do you I call it, for lack of a better term, the human element segment of my show. We don't always have one because there isn't always something super interesting that there is to talk about when it involves the world of sports. But the coming weeks and month, if you will, there is something very interesting, and that is where the Super Bowl will be played this year. The Super Bowl is being played in New Orleans, Louisiana. Why is that significant? It's significant in a big way because on New Year's Eve, or it was New Year's Day, but it was at like 1 in the morning on Bourbon Street. A self-proclaimed, the flag was flying from his truck, Islamic State terrorist, aka an ISIS fighter, attacked Bourbon Street essentially with a rented F-150 truck on that evening, early morning. He drove this truck down 3 blocks of Bourbon Street, killing 14 people and injuring dozens and dozens more. So, why was that able to take place? I can tell you why, and that is because they have barriers specifically in these areas, because it doesn't have to be a ISIS terrorist, but a lot of assholes like to ram their trucks into crowds to kill people these days. And maybe we should ban trucks. That's what we should do. I bet you that would stop that. But anyways, the barriers were removed some around 2020. I have some, so I'm not talking out of my ass here. I've got quotes. I got receipts, as the kids say, about how all this kind of went down. So these barriers are called bollards, and apparently the mayor of New Orleans, Mayor LaToya Cantrell, said in a press conference that these were gummed up by debris soon after they were installed in 2017. And gummed up with what, you ask? Apparently, per the mayor, Mardi Gras beads. And I'm like, okay, this sounds like a joke. Like, it's not real. Like, is that really what they're gummed up with? These are just concrete barriers. Like, who cares if they're clean or not? I mean, your city workers should be cleaning those out. So let me finish here. Oh boy. So they were removed because there was debris gummed up on them, and particular Mardi Gras beads. The manufacturer of the ballards, the company is called Healed Ltd., released a statement that simple, regular cleaning is all the barriers or ballards need to be maintained. So, you know, the conspiracy part of my brain gets rolling here. That's clearly not the reason why they were removed, because they were dirty. Like, I think we should all be able to agree with that. Now, do we have the answers as to why we do not? And there's a lot of different angles you could take on this, but basically, you got an event. We've been dealing with this kind of shit since the 1970s, as far as different groups wanting to kill a lot of people to get to be known, to get a point across because of freaking caliphate or whatever your religion is. Or, you know, I'm not trying to get after one particular group of assholes that like to kill unarmed civilians and women and children, but there got to be barriers so that trucks can't drive through. And like, the dude had bombs and stuff rigged around in some areas that they were able to, you know, they basically got in a pretty quick gunfight with him after his truck stopped running because it was full of people. The radiator probably was full of freaking God knows what. And then they had a small gun battle and killed his cowardly bitch ass. And so I don't know, man. So the Super Bowl's in New Orleans. So now they've got security experts. They've got the Secret Service. Which those people suck. Um, uh, anyways, I could go on and on about how those people are implicit in, attempted murder, but they've got all kinds of police and freaking National Guard coming in for this Super Bowl. And I don't know. I just think it's real simple. Security happens for a reason. Like there's a reason why security companies exist, police forces exist, and this shouldn't be something that we're talking about anymore. There's some tragedies that we can't stop from happening, but Bourbon Street, whether Times Square, New York on New Year's Eve, nothing's happening with a truck driving through a crowd in Times Square, New York on New Year's Eve because the NYPD ain't going to let that shit happen because those people are locked in that square the entire time for like 13 hours. A lot of people wear adult diapers so that because there's nowhere to go to the bathroom and the bars and restaurants won't let you in. So I'm just saying, like, there's cities that do this properly, and New Orleans really dropped the ball on that one, and people lost their lives. Some of those people were very young people. And stay vigilant, my friends. Also, protect yourselves. Learn how to protect yourselves because this kind of stuff happens, and it's always going to happen. Now, we should be able to keep cars from driving through crowds in that kind of a scenario, and I guarantee that probably ain't going to happen there again or maybe anywhere else for a little while. But protect yourselves. Legally arm yourselves. Don't be a bitch. Don't be a victim. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or old or young. Give yourself a chance to survive out there. Okay. Now, college hoops. ACU plays Grand Canyon at 8 p.m. tonight. I'm not really sure where Grand Canyon is, but 8 p.m. Wildcats are a 13.5-point dog. I'm taking the Wildcats for the upset victory. Go Cats. Okay, so the most interesting game tonight is Michigan at Minnesota. The Wolverines are a 10-point favorite. I think I'm going to just watch that one. I think it's going to be a very good game. A lot of college hoops was played last night, and man, there was some good hooping last night. You had Seton Hall, you had Marquette, you had St. John's, St. Bonaventure, I think. But anyways, college hoops is heating up as the earth is cooling down for winter. But anyways, we might be getting some snow next week here in Leantown. So I hope we do. But anyways, thank you again to my producer extraordinaire, Sam Wolf, a.k.a. Sammy, and the Majestic Coffee Shop here in downtown Abilene, Texas at the Neon Parrot Live Studios. And I hope the Raiders get a head coach soon that's decent. And I hope the Bears get get Mike McCarthy. I think that would be great. And how about an exciting weekend of football playoffs? And everybody stay safe out there and protect yourself, Protect those around you that can't protect themselves. And I think that'll be about the close up of our show. Sammy's going to hit my music. I want to give one more shout out to Jan, my best friend at Hair and Makeup that, puts all this together for you folks at home. This mug right here's just got makeup all over it. And my hair. It's not even real. It's a wig. But thank you, Jan. Go Raiders.